I always thought betrayal would come with noise, shouting, breaking glass, maybe fists through walls. But when the moment came, it was silence that filled the air. A silence heavier than any storm. Her name was Emma. My wife of 4 years. The woman I once believed the universe had carved out of starlight just for me. She had that smile, the kind that made men turn and women jealous, but her heart, I thought, was mine alone. That night, everything changed. It began with whispers. A late-night text that lit up her phone while she was in the shower. I wasn't the kind of husband who snooped, but something about the way she snatched her phone afterward, shielding it like it held nuclear codes, made a cold suspicion bloom in me. I let it go, or at least I pretended to. But once doubt creeps in, it never leaves. A week later, she said she was meeting her friend Laura after work for drinks. Normally, I wouldn't think twice. But Laura had posted a picture of herself on Instagram, curled up in bed with the flu. My chest tightened. My gut screamed. So I followed her. I parked across from the dimly lit bar on Westbrook Street, my hands tight around the steering wheel, breath fogging the glass. 10 minutes passed. Then she walked in, hair tied up, that red coat I bought her swaying behind her. She didn't look around nervously. She walked straight in like she already knew who she was meeting. And then he appeared. Tall. Dark-haired. A familiar face I couldn't place at first. He leaned close, too close, pulling her into a hug that lingered far longer than friendship. My stomach dropped. His hand slid to her lower back, guiding her to the booth. My eyes widened when recognition hit me. It was Daniel. My colleague. A man who had been to our home. A man who shook my hand over dinners I cooked. I thought my blood would boil, that I'd storm in, flip the table, and scream until my throat tore apart. That's what movies and stories always taught us betrayal demanded rage. But instead, a strange calmness washed over me, sharp and cold, like stepping into icy water. I didn't go inside. I watched. I watched them laugh, watched her touch his arm, watched him whisper into her ear like he had every right to. And when he leaned in and kissed her, slow and deliberate, I didn't flinch. My heart didn't explode, it froze. She thought I'd explode if I ever caught her. She thought I'd scream, rage, maybe even beg. But she didn't know silence could be louder. I waited until they left, trailing behind them like a shadow. They went to his car, and when she climbed inside, I turned away. I already had everything I needed. That night, she came home late. I pretended to be asleep, my breathing steady, my body still. She slipped into bed smelling faintly of his cologne. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't hold her. She shifted, restless, maybe sensing the absence, but I didn't move. The next morning, I didn't confront her. I made her coffee, asked her about her day, kissed her forehead before she left for work. She looked at me strangely, like something was off, but I smiled as if nothing had changed. And that's when the real punishment began. My silence. She expected rage, tears, accusations. But I gave her nothing. Days passed. I cooked dinner, asked about her nights out, and kissed her cheek when she lied straight to my face. But my eyes told her I knew. She couldn't hide from them. Her laughter grew nervous. Her explanations longer, desperate, stumbling. She began watching me like a hawk, waiting for me to crack. But I didn't. I carried on calm, almost indifferent. And that indifference destroyed her more than any fight ever could. One night she broke. We were at dinner. Candlelight flickered between us, and she stared at me with trembling hands. "Why aren't you saying anything, James?" she whispered. "Why aren't you asking where I've been?" I took a slow sip of wine, meeting her eyes. "Because I already know," I said softly. Her face went pale. Her lips parted, words dying in her throat. She expected fire, rage, maybe even a plea. Instead, she got calm certainty. "You don't love me anymore?" she asked, her voice breaking. I tilted my head, studying her. "Love doesn't vanish overnight, Emma. But respect? That vanishes the second you kissed him." She gasped, tears spilling. You saw?" I nodded. Silence followed, long and suffocating. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away, leaving her fingers clutching emptiness. And that silence, my silence, was louder than any scream. It echoed through the walls of her guilt, crushing her from the inside out. She broke down, sobbing, begging for words, even cruel ones. Anything. But I gave her nothing. The days that followed were worse for her. She hovered around me, desperate for confrontation, for release. But I carried on with chilling composure. My silence was a mirror, forcing her to face herself. Eventually she confessed. She confessed everything without me asking. Every detail, every meeting, every lie. She poured it out like poison, desperate to free herself, but the damage was done. When she finished, shaking and hollow, I finally spoke. Just 5 words. I already forgave you. Her head snapped up, confusion in her swollen eyes. Forgave me? Then why are you? Because forgiveness doesn't mean staying, I said, standing up. It means I don't carry your sins with me. You do. I left her there at the table, her sobs echoing in the silence I'd weaponized against her. And that was the cruelest part. She thought betrayal would end with rage and fire. But it ended in silence, a silence she carried long after I was gone. Because sometimes silence breaks louder than any scream.